für die Einladung. How did that sound? It's a real pleasure to be here. It's a great honor as well. To be here in this fair that I was told had an ancestor created back in 1926. 1926 was the year when the first technology for the television appeared. It's also the year where was produced the first spray can, but at the time we didn't have any smartphones. We didn't have any mobile phones. Actually, most of the people didn't have any phone at all. And as I'm speaking today, I think I could probably be right by guessing that in 10 years' time there will no longer be any phones being used as communication devices. So this is to say how fast technology is moving, as swift and quick the new digital world is appearing in front of us. So the question is, for me, for you, what kind of model do we want? Part of my job in French politics, but also around the world, is to try to fight against clichés, stereotypes. Because I think that when one works in innovation, one needs to have a kind of open mind, to be very adaptive, very flexible, always open to new potential opportunities. Well, tell me about it when it comes to France and the image of my country. I do have to fight against a certain number of clichés. So, one of them is that, except that we have fantastic food that might be smelly, it is difficult to change things. You know what we see on television? It's strikes, it's people demonstrating, it's kind of general refusal of the future, of what will come tomorrow. This idea that France is a rigid country where there is no space and no place for entrepreneurship and innovation. So I thought I'd rather adopt a kind of scientific approach, a fact-based one, to describe what is actually going on in France at the moment. And so let's just quote some figures. In the last semester of this year, we had 3 big deals done by some of our best startups, including Deezer in the music industry, Medday or Drivey, that you know very well because that startup in the sharing economy is very present in Germany. And we also have unicorns becoming bigger and bigger, and you must have heard some of the names like Sigfox in the networks industry, or BlaBlaCar if you like sharing your transports, Selectis in the biotech industry, Criteo in the advertisement industry, DBV or Vente Privée, retail, or OVH, you know, OVH is number 4 in the world, right behind Amazon, for hosting websites and providing technologies and networks to other companies and private individuals. Well, nobody knows about OVH, except that they were able to attract major foreign investors this summer and become one of the most promising European unicorns in Europe. Next year, and I had a meeting again with Xavier Niel last week. Next year will be opened in Paris, a huge hub, an open space for 1,000 startups, but also for public agencies, for corporates, for private investors, for foreign people who want to come and actually see what's going on the tech scene in France. So what we will call the Station F, that will be the name just as if it was a tube station, will be, I'm sure, it's a bet for the future, but an amazing place with an open restaurant, 24 hours a day, with excellent pizzas for €5. So this will not only be the place to be for startups, but it will be the place to be for nightclubbers by night and for investors during the day. Let's look at some further figures. Again, that one is striking. The increase in investments in startups in the French ecosystem simply doubled within 1 year. And we're seeing exactly the same trend at the moment. So you might think, well, we're coming from a long way and we still have a lot of work to do to improve the situation, and that is true, but still that is a very positive trend, and one has to be optimistic when looking at this figure. In France, since January 2016, is the number in the country in Europe with the largest number of deals in terms of investments in startups. But I would say above all, there's this kind of new spirit. And I'm not inventing it. This is not something that I decided in my office. I actually thought myself, when I was sitting on the bench of the National Assembly, that people in government were over-exaggerating the phenomenon that we're seeing in France at the moment. And I would be not surprised to know that there is the same thing going on in Germany and in the rest of Europe, which is a passion for entrepreneurship, a willingness, especially coming from the younger people, to emancipate themselves individually and collectively in order to build their own future. And the idea of creating their business, especially in the tech sector, in the digital and innovation fields, is something that they want to do. And so with that new culture, we're really observing a shift. And I think there will be before the French Tech and after the French Tech. The French Tech, what is that? That is the French Tech. It's a little red roaster that sums it up all. Well, of course, where is that, the French Tech? Is that another marketing thing? No, it's not me saying it. I'm not very credible, right? I work in politics. It's John Chambers saying it. When he says France is the next big thing, he follows this by investing money, just as other large companies did in the recent years and months in France. And this is actually what the French Tech is. We're starting from that little roaster, and it's literally expanding throughout the country. Paris, of course, is unavoidable. It is the heart beating in the French innovation ecosystem, but everywhere you go, you will meet entrepreneurs and start-uppers. And this is what I discovered. I was amazed. This is a bottom-up initiative. It is the young people telling us what to do and how to do it. And it is the state, the French official state. It is members of the government saying, wow, this is so interesting. This is the future. Look at what's going on. And so from the north to the south, if you like skiing, look at these connected sports activities in Grenoble or near the Atlantic Ocean. If you like good food and wine, go to Bordeaux. If you're good in retail, that's a very historically traditional area in the north of France, etc., etc. This is a country actually turning towards embracing innovation absolutely everywhere. But can we afford to be Franco-French in a global world, in an open international economy? No, not in France and not abroad. So what is that? Well, there you have 12 officially labeled hubs in other countries, probably one to come in Berlin, where the French entrepreneurs in these cities decided to cooperate with the local innovation ecosystem to create bridges, to enlarge the ecosystem, to just exchange about tips and investments and build a kind of platform where they could connect the world through the values of entrepreneurship. So that is the result. You actually have 5 continents connected, and there are probably 6, 7, or 8 more hubs to come, and I will announce the newcomers in October very soon. Last year we launched a new program. It's called the French Tech Ticket. So of course, when it's President Obama doing it, it's an easier task for him. When it's France, we still have to convince entrepreneurs to come and create their business in France. But we did it, and the result was amazing. We received thousands of applications. The #1 country willing to move to France to create the startup with a visa, with access to an admin one-stop shop, etc., were American companies and American entrepreneurs. I think 6 German startups decided to create either a new company or a branch of their German company in France, thanks to that program, which is expanding. So there we go. I'm here. We're in September 2016, and I'm talking to you about France. The subject of this talk is about Europe. Is there a European model for innovation? So what do you think of that? Are you on Snap, baby? That little French roaster trying to compete with the big German well-known birds? Well, does that really make sense? I mean, I know that we had Brexit. I know that, we had an election in Germany yesterday that sends a signal and a message that people do not want to hear about Europe, that Donald Trump in America is on the rise. So what should we do? We live in a happy world. We think of the future. We're driven by innovation. We tend to fly from one connected urban hub to another one in the world, and we're the one creating wealth and investing in that future. But what about the rest of the people? What about the people who say, we don't want any Europe? Should we just turn the page and try to forget about them? That's not my job. I'm not an entrepreneur. I work in politics. My job is to not necessarily listen, but at least to try to listen to the people and understand what they're saying. And what they're saying is that we're feared. We're feared by what's going on. We feel we're not part of it. We're not part of that happy game. We're not connected or not well connected enough. Our jobs are disappearing. Will we be replaced by artificial intelligence or by robots? And so the job of people like me is also to try to, create bridges and links between sometimes 2 visions. And I think in the tech industry, in the innovation sector, the answer for startups based in Europe is actually Europe. Why is that? That's the reality of Europe today. The European tech scene is in full swing. There you go, a fantastic, very smart robot except that the 27, 28 states that built it together do not know how to use it. The robot is, becoming crazy a little bit. So what do we do with that? Well, we need to think of a model. And actually, I think that's an opportunity to create a Europe that is entirely focused on education, on training, on intelligence, on innovation, and on some values. So what do we need exactly? Well, we need investment. You know all about that. The fact that startups are struggling to grow when they're based in Europe for different reasons. But why do they need to have access to investments? Well, because they need to invest themselves, because innovation is so quick that they need to always go a step forward to be able to invest in research and development, to be able to hire new people, to be able to conquer new markets abroad. And I think actually European startups have an advantage there, is that because the European market is so fragmented that they have no other choice but to think global from the start, to be international from the start. If a French startup has managed to be present with success on the German market, believe me, they can conquer the rest of the world. And it's the same the other way round. So access to investment is both a problem and an answer to the construction of a European innovation model. I believe that we should have funds of funds at the European level. I believe that private investors should co-invest in a cross-border approach in Europe, and that